I'm John Bachman, live in downtown Cedar Rapids. The survival of Rathpacking's current plant in Waterloo appears to be in question tonight, and the search continues for a drowning victim in Cedar Rapids.
I'm Jane Hansen. Almost $1 million was spilled on Interstate 80 last night. We'll have an exclusive filmed report, and we'll have a special update report on the progress of I-380 out through Cedar Rapids. All that's next on Channel 2 Newswatch.
This is Channel 2, Cedar Rapids and Waterloo.
From Broadcast Park, Eastern Iowa's Communications Center, Newswatch at 6. Your source for local news. John Bachman and Jane Hansen bring you the news. Radar weather with Conrad Johnson and sports with Ron Gonder.
Good evening. Jane and I are bringing the news tonight live from downtown Cedar Rapids. A bit later on, we'll get a progress report on the construction of I-380 through our city. But first, we turn our attention to Waterloo. Rathpacking of Waterloo cannot survive for long in its present location. That's the preliminary assessment of a consulting firm hired to determine how the financially strapped company can stay alive. Tom Rudquist has the story.
Rath officials have been seeking $10.2 million from the federal government for a remodeling project the company says would turn this plant into a profit-making enterprise. But federal officials wanted a second opinion before freeing up that much money. And today, a consultant hired to assess Rath's situation said the preliminary opinion is that remodeling is not enough.
The equipment is old. It's going to require continued maintenance. Their budget is over $5 million a year right now, and I would judge it'll go up another $1 million next year and could continue to do that. So in the long run, there is not a solution in trying to remodel this plant.
Rath Company President Emmett McGuire says he agrees that maintenance of the current plant will soon be too costly to live with, but he still feels that Rath can get enough federal money to keep the company alive during the short run.
Well, I can't speak for either the consultants or the EDA, but I think it's in the realm of possibilities.
The biggest concern of civic and business leaders in the Waterloo area has been to keep Rath alive and well in this city. And the consultants, although they're saying they probably will recommend that a new plant be built, say they will also probably recommend that it be built here. Tom Rudquist, Channel 2 Newswatch, Waterloo.
The search continues tonight for the body of a Cedar Rapids man presumed drowned in the Cedar River. John Altenburn has more on the story.
Fire rescue boats and helicopters were searching the area directly below the REA Dam as soon as the fog lifted this morning. They're looking for the body of Bruce Alkire. His fishing companion, 41-year-old Benny Wheeland, was pulled from the river last night, soon after the two were trapped in the swift current near the dam. Wheeland died on his way to the hospital despite efforts to revive him. Officials say Alkire, Wheeland, and his 14-year-old son Mike were fishing when one of the men waded out from shore and was swept underwater. The other two went to his rescue, but only 14-year-old Mike managed to escape. Last night, rescuers searched until dark for Alkire's body. So far, today's efforts have been in vain. Firefighters say they'll keep looking until dusk. These were the 6th and 7th deaths at the REA Dam in the past 5 years. Experienced fishermen say they'd never get close to the dam. But there are no signs of warning, no notice to newcomers of the dam's treacherous currents. Iowa Electric, which owns the dam, says there were signs posted at one time, but someone apparently removed them. John Altenburn, Channel 2 Newswatch, Cedar Rapids.
A 2-year-old boy is in critical condition this evening after being hit by a truck on Cedar Rapids' northeast side. Police say Brian Smith darted in the path of a pickup being driven by 23-year-old Sarah Strand of Toddville. The boy suffered head injuries. He was rushed to St. Luke's Hospital. The hospital reports Brian is now in intensive care after undergoing surgery, and we repeat, he is in critical condition.
Lynn County deputies tonight are looking for a man charged with several traffic violations. George Welsh of Cedar Rapids was driving one of these cars involved in this crash in Ely last night. 7 people were sent to the hospital. Authorities say Welsh crossed the center line and struck a car driven by 16-year-old George Storm of Ely. Welsh was being treated at St. Luke's Hospital last night when he escaped from custody. He faces 7 charges, including driving while under the influence, driving under a suspended license, and having no Iowa driver's license. Other charges are pending. Nearly 3,000 homes were without power for a short time this afternoon on the southwest side of Cedar Rapids. A construction crane struck a power line, opening a breaker. Just 9 minutes later, repairmen closed the breaker and the power was restored.
An armored truck carrying a fortune in coins crashed last night near West Liberty. Lawmen were called in to guard the money as it was transferred to another truck, and Richard Ray was there.
Everybody involved was very skittish about discussing details, but it's clear now that this armored truck was out of Denver and heading east when the accident occurred about 7 last night on Interstate 80 near West Liberty. Officially, no one is saying just how much money the truck was hauling, but one man who was helping with the cleanup told us in a hushed and reverent voice that each bag contained $1,000. And there were hundreds of bags. It was a veritable bank vault on wheels, a mini Fort Knox in transit. Friends, we're talking big bread.
He had a blowout on the left front of his tractor, and he went into the medium. His dual wheels on the tractor fell into a culvert hole. It tore the tandems off of the tractor and did considerable damage to the trailer.
There were 6 state troopers babysitting the booty, along with one particularly menacing guard who stalked around with a pistol on his hip and a scattergun at his side. Most everyone gave him a wide berth. A Cedar Rapids salvage crew was called in to haul out the coins and remove the truck. Oh, they also brought along a dozen garbage cans just for the loose change.
It was 4 a.m. before all the money was transferred and back on the road. We're now told that the coins have safely reached their destination and are in the process of being counted very carefully. Richard Ray, Channel 2 Newswatch, along Interstate 80.
Interstate 380, this construction work is changing the face of Cedar Rapids and eastern Iowa with its unique design. And it won't be that long before this is open to motorists. Maggie Jensen has a report.
Construction workers are in the process of putting a protective coating on 380 which will keep ice-melting chemicals from corroding the steel superstructure.
This is a very dense concrete that cuts down the porosity of the concrete on the bridge floor so that this corrosion action cannot start.
I-380 is the product of technological innovation that was pioneered in Iowa. The concrete overlay is one example, and the paving was laid with a machine that was developed in Iowa and is now being used worldwide. And of course, the award-winning bridge and dam.
The 5-in-1 structure that we're looking at right now has received 2 awards by the Consulting Engineering Foundation of the United States, one for the state of Missouri for engineering excellence, and also a national award for the same reason.
Henley says the total cost of the stretch of I-380 through downtown Cedar Rapids will be right around $42 million. It will be open to 7th Street Northeast by December.
When will we be able to drive from Interstate 80 to Cedar Falls on I-380? Well, that may not be as far away as you think. Henley says the DOT is aiming for the beginning of 1982. Maggie Jensen, Channel 2 Newswatch, Cedar Rapids.
The State Department of Transportation has agreed to hold a public hearing in Iowa City sometime in September to discuss the controversial Freeway 518 plan. It should be a lively get-together. The City Council and a number of citizens groups are angrily opposed to the 4-lane highway which would run west and south of the city. There's been another setback for that proposal to rechannel Ralston Creek in Iowa City. A private developer would like to straighten a 700-foot section of the creek and put up houses on the reclaimed floodplain. But according to the consultant's report, that would increase flooding problems in the area.
Coming up next, the Helping Hand wraps up his reports on allergy medications.
There appears to be some friction between the Dubuque ambulance drivers and the firefighters union that represents them. Today, Local 353 of the Firefighters Union issued a press release reassuring Dubuque residents that ambulance service will be maintained. The release apparently comes in response to ambulance drivers' statements that the advanced life support training they have is not a requirement of their job, and that some equipment may go unused if their recent resignations go through and new men have to be trained. The drivers are asking to be dropped from the union so they can negotiate directly with the city. Jane?
Striking machinists at Midland Forge in Cedar Rapids will meet tomorrow for a progress report and contract talks. The meeting will be held at the Machinists Hall beginning at 9 a.m. The union has been on strike since the 16th of July. The Cedar Rapids Police Department is taking heat from another quarter. This time, it's from local auctioneers who wanted a chance to call the abandoned bike sale tomorrow. A retired policeman, Babe Zimmerman, will call the auction for 10% of the profits. The department hopes to take in $15,000 to $18,000. The city code does not require the police to take bids in auctioneers. Nevertheless, the next time they have such a sale, they will take bids.
Hay fever will be driving thousands of Iowans to the drugstore these next few days. Yesterday, our helping hand showed us which drugs are either too expensive or just don't work. Tonight, Tom Eisen shows us the hay fever remedies we should buy.
This is a vicious weed. From now until the first frost, ragweed pollen will trigger sneezes, water eyes, plug up noses, and irritate throats.
Like your eyes would be watering, you'd have to stop and you'd be sneezing. I just about have to sit down every time I get a bad case of it.
That's the bad news. But for hay fever sufferers, the good news is that relief is usually just a drugstore away. But first you have to learn what kind of medication you need.
If their symptoms are primarily runny nose and sneezing and eye symptoms without stuffiness, then they need a pure antihistamine.
And when it comes to a pure antihistamine, this hay fever expert has a clear choice: chlortrimeton tablets. He says they're inexpensive and they work.
If, on the other hand, they have a lot of stuffy nose along with the other hay fever symptoms, they need a decongestant along with the antihistamine.
Fetihist is just the decongestant antihistamine the clinical pharmacist recommends. He says it's as good as the rest and often at a fraction of the cost. And to keep medication from making you drowsy, start with just small doses.
Start off with a half tablet 3 times a day and increase the dose slowly as they get used to the drowsiness. The drowsiness will go away if you stay on the medication, increasing it slowly over a period of several days at the beginning of the ragweed season to a maximum of 2 tablets 3 times a day.
Finally, there are several times when you should stop treating hay fever yourself and get to a doctor. If you develop sinus infection, if you have asthma, if your allergy symptoms persist year-round, if the medication's side effects become intolerable, or if the drugstore remedies just don't work at all. Tom Eisen, the Newswatch Helping Hand.
If you would like a written summary on Tom's 2 reports about hay fever remedies, just send a large self-addressed stamped envelope to the WMT Helping Hand, Cedar Rapids. We'll go back to Broadcast Park for a look at sports next. Jade and I aren't the only ones outside tonight. Ron Gonder is in back of Broadcast Park. Ron?
Ah, it's beautiful out here, too. Just beautiful. We don't get this chance often, do we?
We sure don't.
Huh?
No,
this is nice. New leader in the second round of the Pleasant Valley Golf Tournament today in Sutton, Massachusetts, Mark Hayes, shot a 5-under par 66 today. He is 2 shots up now on Ray Floyd and Bob Gilder. Hayes has a 133 2-round total, and that is a tournament record for 36 holes. John Mahaffey, who won the PGA last week, shot a 65 today. He's well in it now. He is in a group 3 shots behind. The first round co-leaders slipped back. Ben Crenshaw had a 73. Miller Barber had a 71 today. In the women's golf tournament this week, the Long Island Charity Classic, Judy Rankin has the early second round lead after a 69 today. She's 2 shots up right now on Jane Blaylock. First round leader Sandra Post shot a 76 today, and she is now 3 shots behind. Todd Schultz won the Cedar Rapids Boys Golf Tournament at the Country Club today, beating Dave Takis by 1 shot. Schultz was the medalist by leading the first round, but hadn't led since. He was 1 shot down on the 18th tee and managed a bogey on that 18th to shoot a 76 for the day and take the title. He'll be a senior at Kennedy High School this fall. The heartbreak story was Dave Takis here in yellow, who led Schultz by that shot starting 18. But Takis got into the trees on 18 and wound up with a triple bogey 7 and lost the tournament by a shot. He had a 79 for the day. Doug Ilton, shown here, who led the tournament at 2 rounds, finished with a 78 and got 3rd place 3 behind. This is Kevin Paulson, also shot 78 and claimed 4th, 5 back, while Jamie Fashion-Parr won the novice division by 5 shots over Bob Colesmith. The National League West in Major League Baseball is really going to be something down through the stretch. Los Angeles and San Francisco are now tied for the top, with Cincinnati a half game behind, and things snugged up last night when Los Angeles beat San Francisco. Here you see the Dodgers at the plate, and there she goes, a home run for the Dodgers, and they really had their hitting shoes on last night. They were ripping them in all directions off Vita Blue, and Blue doesn't often get that kind of treatment anyplace. He had an off night last night, and the Dodgers were really roaring away, and the Dodgers and San Francisco will meet again tonight in Los Angeles. High school all-star games tomorrow afternoon in Iowa City, and the first game at 1 o'clock, and then the second game at 4 o'clock. They'll play the championship game on Sunday afternoon. No racing tonight at Cedar Rapids Hawkeye Downs. They have a concert out there. And now we'll go back downtown to Jane when Newswatch continues.
You know, it is really gorgeous out here tonight. Craig, I was a little worried earlier that we were going to get drenched, but thankfully we haven't received a drop of rain, and I hope you keep it coming this way.
I told you last night it wasn't going to rain, and it hasn't rained, and it's not going to rain this evening here in eastern Iowa, but you're right.
Thank you.
Gorgeous, gorgeous night, even though we have some clouds that look like we'd like to get together and produce some rain. Summer is on the way back here to eastern Iowa. In fact, temperatures have been trying to warm up today, and let's take a look at our high temperatures across the state of Iowa today. Readings were mainly in the 80s, with Sioux City and Council Bluffs both reporting 83 degrees. Waterloo also had 83. Cedar Rapids 80, Iowa City up to 86 for the state high. Dubuque had 83, and in northeast Iowa, Waukon reporting 78 degrees. In Iowa, we had some clouds across the area today, kind of holding temperatures down, making it kind of a sultry day. But out in the eastern part of the nation, they had clouds, and they also had showers and thunderstorms all the way from Texas up along this front into the northeast. Some heavy rains in here. Allentown, Pennsylvania had 1 3/10 inches of rain, and golf ball size hail came pounding down today around noontime near Atlantic City, New Jersey. All this continuing in the east, where all the hot, humid air has been for the past several weeks. Let's take a look at the time-lapse satellite picture, because you'll see lots and lots of clouds in the eastern part of the nation, all part of those thunderstorms that have been rumbling there for a couple of weeks. Gulf moisture is feeding northeastward out of the Gulf of Mexico, and we can see that as we zoom in here. And here's all the thunderstorms in the east. Now, as we go back into Iowa, here's our evening, and last night skies were mostly fair. But here are today's clouds as a storm system came moving out of eastern Nebraska, produced some thunder showers in Nebraska with some very heavy rains there last night, up to 3 and 4 inches. And now those are the clouds that are now working across the eastern part of Iowa. Out to the west of us, 100 in the south at Oklahoma City, 92 at Denver, 95 at Salt Lake. A lot of very warm air out in the western part of the nation, and that's what we can look forward to here in eastern Iowa as all this begins lifting northeastward. A cool front? Yeah, but it sure doesn't amount to very much. This is where the cool air has been coming all during the month of August. This one will come in, reach Minnesota tomorrow, fall apart, and allow warm air to move up into Iowa. Down in here, there are some thunderstorms just to the south of us. There have been some heavy rains in Missouri. We can see those storms on a satellite picture taken at 3 o'clock this afternoon. A little patch of clouds located in northeast Kansas and northwestern Missouri. These have been producing some locally heavy rains. In fact, there's a severe thunderstorm watch out for this area as those storms move eastward this evening. Around Iowa now at 6 o'clock, we can see 79 degrees at Dubuque, 81 in Waterloo, 80 here in Cedar Rapids, 84 in Iowa City. Look at the humidities, 62%. Checking radar now here at Broadcast Park, we can see no activity in east central Iowa, although to the south we do have some thunderstorms around the Ottumwa area moving eastward. Tonight's forecast for eastern Iowa, mostly cloudy, warm and humid. A few scattered thunderstorms in the south, and lows tonight should range from the low 60s in the north to the upper 60s in the south. And tomorrow at noon, warm and humid air coming over the entire area under partly cloudy skies as August returns in earnest here to eastern Iowa. And our forecast tomorrow, temperatures getting warmer, partly cloudy skies, a sultry day. Temperatures tomorrow ranging from 85 to 92 degrees, and so a warm weekend coming up across the state of Iowa. Now we'll go back downtown to Jane and John.
The subject of marijuana is often touched off emotional, even angry debates. With the WMT editorial on that issue, here's Dave Shea.
The time has come to reconsider state and federal laws on marijuana in light of accumulating knowledge about the substance. Perhaps the most significant development is that marijuana is showing increasing promise as a medicine. Some eye doctors say it reduces the pressure within the eyes of glaucoma victims and can actually save the sight of some. A number of researchers say marijuana is more effective than any other substance in treating glaucoma. In addition, marijuana may help reduce the side effects suffered by cancer victims undergoing chemotherapy. It may also provide therapeutic benefits to those suffering from asthma, alcoholism, epilepsy, and multiple sclerosis. And compared to many drugs, it appears to be relatively safe. But while marijuana is available illegally in most high schools and colleges across the nation, it cannot be legally prescribed for sick people because of the tough requirements of the Food and Drug Administration. 4 states, however, have passed laws to permit its use as a medicine, usually as part of a research program. Some doctors doubt the therapeutic value of marijuana, and the American Medical Association says it can be hazardous to some people. But in light of present evidence, it would seem wise to at least encourage further research into marijuana's possible medical benefits.
We invite your comments. Write WMT, Cedar Rapids.
Tonight at 10 here in Channel 2, we'll be back in the studio where we'll look into the continued increase in enrollment in one of eastern Iowa's fastest growing school districts. In Dubuque, we'll check on bus service, sewage treatment, and plans for an expanded airport. And our country traveler, Gary Schendel, gets shelled with tacos in one Johnson County town. John and I will have those stories and much more on Newswatch at 10. Join us then.